All right, it's Thursday, February 27th, 2025. My name is Kessie Ian Anderson, and welcome back for another edition of Heresiarch. In this, we're going to discuss a crash course in Vivo TeraHertz Plasmonic Biosensors. That's a mouthful. Let's get started. So in this, I'm going to kind of give an illustration of how I research things and how I'm trying to teach myself about the biodigital convergence. That's the convergence of our biology and digital. And to do that, Google is actually your best friend. As little as I trust Google on a lot of things, you can Google a lot of information in this arena and get a ton, because Google is just as invested. They are a part of this system. And so the more this gets dispersed, the more people learn about it, the more it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. So, pulse-based intra-body nanocommunication at terahertz and optical bands. For this, I'm on the IEEE website. Well, what is the IEEE? IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It's the world's largest technical organization and is dedicated to advancing technology. I would argue our enslavement. What does IEEE do? It develops standards that often become national and international standards, publishes journals, holds conferences, offers professional and educational activities, creates networking opportunities for professionals, offers mentoring programs for young professionals. So Ian F. Achilles is part of this. James Giordano, that I showed in the last video about remote controlling your brain, is a part of this. Everybody is a part of the IEEE. It is the biggest. And then there's the ITU, but IEEE is the big one that we're going to focus on. So let's go over this abstract. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of give you a method of I want you to do your own research. You got to start jumping in on this, but it's going to be a whole new language. This, unless you are an electrical engineer, unless you're a journeyman and an electrician, you're not going to, this is all brand new stuff to me. I never paid attention in school or high school about electronics like I probably should have. So, the advancement in nanotechnology. Well, what is nanotechnology? I went in and I go, can you see nanotechnology machines? AI overview. No, you cannot see nanotechnology machines with the naked eye. They are too small to be visible without specialized equipment like a scanning electron microscope, SEM, or an atomic force microscope, AFM, because they operate at the nanoscale, which is significantly smaller than the wavelength of visible light. So visible light cannot even reveal these. So standard light microscopes cannot see nanomaterials as they are too small to interact with visible light waves. To visualize nanotechnology, scientists use advanced microscopes. Now, let's watch this.
Before you can work at the nanoscale, you need to be able to see it. But how do you image something that tiny? The nanoscale is too small to see with the traditional optical microscope, so scientists invented new instruments, like the atomic force microscope. The AFM works by moving an atomically sharp tip across a surface and measuring the interactions between the sample and the tip.
So in other words, they're not even seeing it. It's going by feel. They have to go and use a tip and run along it to try to even detect it.
There is now an entire suite of scanning probe microscopes that use tips to probe a surface. The interactions are mapped into an image with nanoscale resolution. The maps, or images, can illustrate the topography or roughness of the surface, or other physical or chemical properties enabling scientists to see at this scale. For more on how scientists examine the nanoscale, go to ideastations.org/sciencematters and nano.gov.
Nano.gov, that'll become one of your go-to websites as well, because that's where all the government funding is for the Biodigital Convergence. So let's go back. The advancement in nanotechnology. So what I do as I'm reading through this, as soon as I hit a word that I don't understand or I'm not sure about, I will look it up. So the advancement in nanotechnology and the increasing demands for healthcare technologies are expediting the progressing of in vivo wireless nanosensor networks, IWNSN. In vivo. Well, let's look up in vivo. What's in vivo meaning? Well, you have in silico, that's in silicon. You've probably heard of in vitro, that literally means in glass. Ex vivo, out of a living thing. In vivo, in a living thing. So, in a living thing, wireless nanosensor networks. With the development of miniature plasmonic signal sources, antenna and detectors, wireless communication among intra-body nanodevices will be expectedly enabled at both terahertz and optical frequencies. Okay, plasmonic. This is what you have to do. This is how you have to go about it. So, what is plasmonic? Well, you're going to have to go and look that up as well. Let's see if I found it here. Conduction. So I've already got a bunch up here for this presentation. So a plasmon, here we go. A plasmon, for plasmonics, is defined as a quantum oscillation of the free electron cloud with respect to the fixed positive ions in a metal. So, what the hell does that mean? Plasmon, a quantum or quasi-particle associated with a local collective oscillation of charge density. In physics, a plasmon is a quantum of plasma oscillation. Just as light consists of photons, the plasma oscillation consists of plasmons. So, did that even really help you? But the point is to start getting more information. What is plasmon in a cell? Let's see. Plasmonic effects in SCs can be invoked by LSPRs and SPPs. I mean, look at this. You gotta define and define. So it's going to be a chore. LSPRs are mainly found in metal MPs and are dependent on the size, shape, material, and surrounding the environments of the metal MPs. I don't even know what MPs are on that, but this is from Science Direct. What is the difference between plasma and plasmon? Let's look at this. As nouns, the difference between plasma and plasmon is that plasma is physics, a state of matter consisting of partially ionized gas, while plasmon is genetics, all the genetic material in an organism. So, going back to this, we're literally messing with genetic material. With the development of miniature plasmonic signal sources, so i.e., we figured out signal ways of messing with your genetics and detecting signal sources, antennas, detectors, wireless communication. So wireless, you're getting hit with frequencies. Among intra-body nano devices, so in the living body, small nano devices that can't be seen with regular light, will be expectedly enabled at both terahertz and optical frequencies. So a terahertz, that's 1 trillion hertz. That means in the period of 1 second interval, 1 trillion wavelengths are hitting you. And I'm arguing our bodies are not meant for this. Terahertz. So how many seconds is 1 trillion? Think about this one. I've said this before. You might know the answer. How many seconds are in 1 trillion seconds? 31,000 years. So imagine 31,000 years worth of hitting you at once. So both terahertz and optical frequencies, due to the limited energy and capabilities of nanodevices. Okay, limited energy and capabilities of nanodevices. Well, what they found at this small scale is that because we have a biofield and all of our little cells are giving off electrical pulses and electrical stimulation, they are harvesting and using our own body as the battery. So in the matrix, copper top, we are literally the battery powering the matrix when they get this stuff inside of us. So, due to the limited energy and capabilities of nanodevices, it is generally believed that the information could be transmitted in femtosecond-long pulses. Okay, what's a femtosecond? Let's see if we can find that. What is FS, a unit of measure? FS, femtosecond, is a unit of measurement for time, specifically a femtosecond, which represents 1/quadrillionth of a second. 1/quadrillionth of a second. This is just, it's bananas. Bananas. Apart from the electromagnetic properties of the biological tissues at the operation band, so the operation band, what they figured out on the low level of our bodies is that we have electromagnetic properties, and that's what they're hacking into. Electromagnetic properties of the biological tissues at the operational band, the pulse shape also has a great effect on the communication performance. So depending on what type of pulses, everybody just thinks it's just these waves hitting you. They have high band, low band, side band. If you look into ham radio operators, they can go over a lot of information on what different bandwidths and different shapes of the pulse that you're getting hit with. So since the path loss sharply increases with the rise of the frequency, thus it is recommended that the lower band of the terahertz and optical frequencies should be adopted. So they're saying that the lower band, for example, upper sideband communications and MIMO towers and your cell phones, there's a lot going on, but the lower band, so they're saying to keep a more consistent, they've worked it out. This is all the math. And if it works in one human, because we're made of the same interstitial tissue and same stuff, it will work in another one. So they only have to figure out the brick one time, and then they can take that brick and apply it to the wall all over, is what I'm saying. So since the path loss sharply increases with the rise of the frequency, thus it is recommended that the lower band of the terahertz and optical frequencies should be adopted. We evaluate the channel capacity for 0.1 to 1 terahertz and received power for 400 to 450 terahertz communication inside the layered skin. They come out and just say it. I mean, this is in vivo. So inside the layered skin, they're trying to figure out how to get these inside of us, in our skin, in our blood, all over in us. But they're trying to find the optimum sweet spot to be able to go in and out of you based on the different layers. And that's why that book, Emerging Technologies, Human Interaction, it explains how different bone density, different organs, they all have different, there's a word I'm looking for, consistencies, different building materials inside of them that they have to account for, but they figured it out. The blood even, the water, the interstitial fluid, they know based on these communications that are hitting us, which ones have to be powered to go through certain levels inside of your body. So the transmitted signal power is I'm not sure about that, nanowatt. I'm not sure. I got to look that one up. The duration of the Gaussian pulse is 100 femtosecond. Okay, well, let's look up Gaussian pulse. Gaussian pulses are pulses with a temporal intensity profile which has a Gaussian shape. Well, that doesn't help much, but you get the idea. And so, yeah. The duration of the Gaussian pulse is 100 femtosecond, and a femtosecond is 1/quadrillionth, and the standard deviation equals to 10 femtoseconds. The channel capacity of terahertz communication inside the skin can be around 5 gigabytes per second when the propagating distance is 1 millimeter. While in the optical communication, the received signal power at 1 millimeter for the considered optical communication is around 92 decibel meter. The obtained results comparatively quantize the potential of the terahertz in optical communication inside the human body. So, is gigabytes per second faster than megabytes per second? Yes, gigabytes per second is significantly faster than megabytes. 1 gigabyte per second is equal to 1,000 megabytes per second, meaning a GBPS connection is 1,000 times faster. This is 5 gigabytes in 1 second that they can transfer in our skin. That's bananas. So, now this was published in 2020 on the IEEE International Conference on Plasma Science. International Conference of Plasma Science. Now, I clicked on this, and look at how many articles, IEEE International Conference on Plasma Science. High power and high frequency gyrotrons. I mean, what is coming out of this? This is Tesla stuff that they've commoditized and that they've worked on, because he was the truth. We're getting, now they're finally bringing it out on us after they've mastered it and turned it into Thomas Edison, bill us recurring for it. They don't want Tesla just to give us free stuff. So high power and high frequency gyrotrons, development applications, the Child-Langmuir law and the physics of diodes, spectroscopic investigations of the ion temperature turbulence and current flow and pulse power systems, plasma space propulsion, nano-satellite orbit control and complex constellation formation. I mean, come on, people. Anybody who tries to come on and deny and say that this isn't real, this is all science. This is all business. This is all what they're doing to put a perfect control grid, the global information grid, on us. They're taking our little terrarium that we're in and they are locking us in. We're cooked. So keep going down. Look at this. And that's just one page. And there's look at all of these. And I'm just giving you a small little primer of what's going on. So small footprint nanomechanical plasmonic phase modulators. Abstract. The author's recent Nature Photonics article titled Compact Nanomechanical Plasmonic Phase Modulators is reviewed, which reports a new phase modulation principle with experimental demonstration of a 23 nanometer long. I think that's, I could be wrong. So I'm sorry on that, I just didn't take the time to look that up. Long resonant modulator having 1.5 picораds, maybe? I'm not even sure about that. With 1.7 dB excess loss of 780 nm, analysis showed that by decreasing all dimensions, a low-loss ultra-compact rad phase modulator is possible. Now, this is nanotech. This is inside of us. So again, I looked up a plasmon. Oscillation meaning movement back and forth at a regular speed. Physics, regular variation, magnitude of position around a central point. Oscillation is the periodic change of a measure around a central value or between two or more states, usually in time. So yeah, this is some boring stuff. Dielectric. Dielectric meaning insulating material or a very poor conductor of electric current. That's one meaning, but also a medium or substance that transmits electric force without conduction, or an insulator. What is conduction? The process by which heat or electricity is directly transmitted through a substance when there is a difference of temperature or of electrical potential between adjoining regions without movement of material. So this is the legwork we have to do. Biosensing. So what is biosensing? Biosensing is a technology that uses biological components to detect and measure biological molecules. It combines biological recognition elements with transducers to create quantifiable signals. A sample is taken from the interstitial fluid. How does biosensing work? Interstitial fluid, what's that? Interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid is a clear, watery substance that fills the spaces between cells and tissues throughout the body. It says watery substance. It's not water. It's a substance that's different. They call it interstitial fluid. It plays a crucial role in maintaining homeostasis and supporting cellular functions. And now they're playing with it. They're introducing external things to it. Yeah, fine. Biosensing is a mechanism to sense biocompounds through monitoring the physical, chemical, or biological changes that they cause with their presence. Biosensing is a rising analytical field for detection of biological indicators Using transducing systems, these transduction mechanisms can translate biological variations into optical, thermal, electrical, or electrochemical signals that are readable and quantifiable. Biosensing is abundantly applied for detection of various biological targets such as biomolecules, biomacromolecules, nucleic acids, peptides, proteins, enzymes, cells, bacteria, viruses. Biosensors with good selectivity, high sensitivity, and fast response have broad prospects in clinical testing of biological indices and for the treatment of various diseases. Smart materials are a class of materials that can respond to external stimuli, such as pH, temperature, moisture, electric or magnetic fields, light, chemical compounds, or biostimuli. I mean, this goes on and on and on. Design of strategies for CRISPR biosensing. So, the point is, anybody who tries to sell you that it doesn't work, that this isn't real, come on. Come on, and look at the names involved. Biosensors are nowadays ubiquitous. Okay, what does ubiquitous mean? Ubiquitous meaning present, appearing, or found everywhere. His ubiquitous influence was felt by all the family. So biosensors are nowadays ubiquitous, i.e. everywhere, in biomedical diagnosis, as well as a wide range of other areas such as point-of-care monitoring of treatment and disease progression, environmental monitoring, i.e. chemtrails, food control, i.e. mRNA in all foods, drug discovery, forensics, and biomedical research. A wide range of techniques can be used for the development of biosensors. There's not just one type of biosensor. The spike protein is a biosensor. The nanolipid particle, which they got into us with the magic juice, is a biosensor, but they've got hundreds, and now analyte, a substance whose chemical constituents are being identified and measured. And analyte is any substance or sample being analyzed, because you're going to see the word analyte show up. So, this is what you have to go through when you're paying the price to learn this stuff. And it can be boring. It is boring. But when you understand what they're doing, it takes on a whole new... It's almost like right now I'm looking behind the curtain and paying attention to what they're trying to do. And then couple this with AI, couple this with the 2030, 2050, Agenda 2021s, couple it with the Noahide laws, couple it with the Zionist psychopaths, i.e. Judaic Shabbos Goyim dudes that are all involved on this. It's not a good time. And then that ENF Achilles. And the thing is all these people, they get they get hyper-focused on one little area. So with these, let's go to the triple E here, spiky electric potential structures in a flux rope experiment. So, hello, let's get together and spiky electric potential. So you have all these dudes that are just hyper-focused on one little area. So there's a giant elephant, and they're focused on the left part of the right toenail. And so they're compartmentalized. They're self-compartmentalized. Maybe some see the bigger picture. But as they get a piece of the puzzle put together, that piece of the puzzle can then be taken and thrown into all of the other pieces of all the other puzzles and used. It's like, yay, you created this. We can now use it here and here and here. And it has so many multiple applications. I mean, measurement behavior analysis, modulated beam current in a virtual cathode oscillator, silicon oxide based on chip electron sources. So anyway, I'm going to stop with this, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what we all got to be doing to figure this out. So that's what I got today. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.